Hey everyone, Papercut here. What you're about to watch is one of my free coaching sessions I gave away on my coaching Discord. Something I try to do is I know that some people don't know if coaching is right for them. I also know that some people just can't afford coaching. So what I try to regularly do on my coaching Discord is give away free sessions to those who are interested. And I do like a monthly drawing for some free sessions, and all I ask is that I do them live on my Discord so people can watch and learn as well. So I have three I'm going to be posting. This is the first one that happened this week. I hope you enjoy, and if you're interested in potentially getting your own coaching sessions or just getting support in the game, feel free to join my coaching Discord in the link in the description of the video. Thanks. Besides that, playing as Roos, would you say there's any civs you particularly struggle against, or any styles you particularly struggle against?
Let's see. I think going against, like if I don't get a lot of damage in feudal and they're going fast castle, it's obviously that's not a good situation
Not
to be
ideal,
in.
yeah.
And so like you're right. Like I haven't lost a lot as Roos, which doesn't like it's just like I guess the skill level like that I can play them at isn't where I'm at in the game. But like I know when I was playing like Japanese, I couldn't beat the Ayubids, and I don't think I've gotten like that many Ayubid matchups as Roos. Like
Man.
ironically, I feel like a lot of my matchups have been like HRE, English, and the people try to like 2TC on me, and like Roos can out 2TC people a lot of times.
Let me tell you, if you play Diamond and above, people spam IUBids like crazy because it's a really good civ. It really, really is. Interesting. Okay, so if we have time to do a sparring match, I'll run IUBids against you and see how you react to that. So we're gonna look at this game against English, which is gonna be probably the most common opponent you'll see, and you win this game. But honestly, there's a point at the end where I'm like, a good English player pushes you back. Like, you to not hide the ball. I would say the things you're going to see that I'm going to point out, which are definitely going to happen later in the game, are going to be one, consistency in your eco balance, particularly continuing to make villagers. You often drop the ball on making villagers consistently, and so you lose probably 4 or 5 villagers throughout the game, which sounds small, but those are villagers who could have been gathering resources the entire time, which does add up over a period of time. 2, it's going to be how to continue the pressure once you realize you can't go in for the kill. So there's a point in the middle of the game where you kind of get stuck at the front of their base, and instead of continuing to keep them entrapped, you actually just let them survive, and an English player with better skill than your opponent would have definitely taken advantage of that, and I'll explain kind of the ways they would have and potentially would hurt you. And then lastly, as you said, the siege. The siege part of it is going to be really important. If you get into this castle point and this opponent's really defensive, you need to use siege and get into that mode a little bit faster. We can talk about the mindsets behind that. Any questions before we hop in?
No, let's go for it.
All right. I do like the idea of going hard feudal against English. I think a lot of English players kind of assume people are going to leave them alone, are kind of scared of them because of their stronger TCs and their style and the style they play with the king and things like that. For you as Roos with 3 scouts, it's going to be very, very important that you are kind of locked in at knowing what that person's doing at all times. Like, you with 3 scouts should never be confused about what the opponent's doing or slow to see their opening. You do a good job killing the hunts. This is how I knew you had RTS experience, is because you were controlling these 3 scouts very, very well. You got the sheep back in time, which is important, but this is a big no-no. So you pre-walked out 4 vills to set up the Kremlin, and then proceeded to then have them not build the Kremlin for a while, because pulling that many off slowed down your ability to get to castle. And you're waiting and you're waiting. If you keep another vills, you're still waiting. And the reason being is because 4 vills on food are enough to make replacement, so 3 more than that aren't really getting much more. So next time, wait until you really have all 400 food, because it very much slowed your age up. And that's really important when we're talking about, you want to do feudal pressure, you want to send knights and immediately stop it. You could have had a knight there as he was dropping the second TC. That was extremely viable. The only reason you didn't have a knight there was because of this very slow start to your age up. So just really make sure this was a massive amount of wasted idle time. Wait till you actually have the pop up before you walk out and do it. I like your spot. It covers 2 wood lines and gold, another gold. You honestly could have pushed up a little bit more. It means you don't get this wood line to cut, but you could honestly just keep your wood villagers near here, and you get all this wood cutting bonus, which is huge as Roos. And then you have 2 gold mines protected, as I said, which is really, really nice in this nice forward position. So the placement of the Kremlin is always really important. What causes you to go 2 TC as Roos? Do you always open feudal aggression, or is there something in your mind that makes you go, okay, I'm gonna go 2 TC here?
I guess I don't know if it's. I use Valdemar's like AOE 4 guides in my build order, and he just has like a recommendation of what to go against what civs, and so I just started using that. That's probably like boosted my elo a lot, but just that level of game decision, like I'm not making. Or like if I scout they're going fast castle, then I'm probably gonna go lighter aggression and try to go fast castle. I think it's usually like the civs that go 2 TC, then I need to go 1 TC aggression against them, and the civs that are going to try to be aggressive, that I can be a little bit greedy because Roos has the luxury of being a little greedier with the Kremlin. But there's let's see, there's not many civs that I go like 2 TC into a fast castle, and I think he recommends that like 1 or 2 matchups you should go 1 TC into a fast castle, but I haven't done that very often. It's usually either 1 TC aggression, 2 TC aggression, and very rarely 2 TC fast castle.
It's fascinating because a lot of Roos players do 2 TC into fast castle. That's like a very common thing. Or 2 TC aggression is also very common. Like for example, when I play as China, I'm playing against Roos player. If I see them go 2 TC, I go 2 TC, and they often push me immediately because they know if it goes castle, they're often not winning that because the ecos get too out of balance. So that's good that he has that guide. I want you to really make sure you're asking yourself though why he makes those choices. Like as you said, very honestly, like, well, I don't have to think about that. Like his guide makes a lot of sense. Make sure to also have your own reason behind that. Like why is it that he's saying those things? If he says it in the guide, great. But if he doesn't, kind of analyze that for yourself. Like why would you say it was powerful to go 1 TC against English here and just go all in?
There's like, I know the meta for English. Kind of like the beastie king into 2 TC,
into fast castle,
and yeah, into fast castle. And I know just from playing the game a little bit, a lot of English matchups, they're very. Is it the White Tower that's their castle upgrade? Once they get the White Tower up, it's really hard to raid them, which I think he gets up in this game, and so like it's kind of either do damage before that or have to wait until it's a siege warfare. So doing that early damage when they're not going to build a lot of army, it slows their age up down, forces them to build army to defend themselves, and can kind of give you more momentum and inertia in the game.
So this person basically does that build, but with the council hall, which I don't really know why, but yeah, he basically does that build. And this is advice to everybody, is that English players want so desperately not to make any units. They want to very, very badly not make any units. And so I don't suggest this as Roos, because Roos towers are so slow, but anyone else, if they're towering the gold and you can make units, you can often tower that gold opposite of the TC. The TC's range is not very large. So you can tower the gold and completely end their gold usage. I mean, you can tower as Roos as well, just take longer. But you can completely cut off their gold with a tower because their TC only covers 1/2 of it. And they'll often be passive with it. Like an aggressive TC would be here to protect the gold backside and like keep everything behind them. He's going to drop it here, which is just completely open to a tower. It's completely open to raiding. And English players desperately want to not make any units. They want to just go straight right tower. And so just making even a few units and pushing that can be really, really effective and slow down their age up. So if your plan is to just castle as well, a few units go a long way, or a tower goes a long way with a few units. If you're planning on being aggressive, you can break that TC. And if they try to rush up a white tower, you can dive and kill villagers while they're doing that. So I agree with you. That's the big reason why. They want to not make units. It's a very predictable strategy. And as always, if you can read the strategy of scouting, do the counter. Even if it doesn't feel that great, like if you're not used to doing it, try just doing the pure counter here. Your resource gather on the age up is perfect because you're able to drop a stable the second you age up. Once again, the thing that's getting you here is just the timing of your age up. I really wish you would have a scout over here checking, because you don't actually see him go second TC. You're kind of assuming he is, and you catch it later. But seeing the council hall, seeing the stone would have just really confirmed that. I think you're going to go right after you get the deer, but I'm big on, for civs who have dynamic landmark choices, to get there right as they age up. like already be looking at it. You want to catch it as they're doing it, because with English, the difference between a council hall and an abbey is huge. Abbey means often 2TC into fast castle. Council hall often means aggression. Other civs you already know, like Delhi. Delhi is always going to be aggressive, almost like 90% of the time. But for dynamic choices like this, you definitely want to go check it a little bit earlier. So you drop the production, you go double stable. Explain that thought process in a second. You're gonna go double stable.
Yeah, just trying to be as aggressive as I
See
can.
stone.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
You saw him bringing down the TC. So here's the thought. You can't make rams until you get archers there, right?
Yeah.
If your plan is to actually drop a ram and to like attack the second TC or to like attack his whatever, you really wanted to fast drop an archery range and then a blacksmith and get there with units, because as you scout, you should notice he's not making any units. So you have this, and I've had people ask me, what's a timing or what's a window? A timing or window is when you obviously have a certain amount of time to do something before you goes away. The ability to do damage goes away. So right now you have this timing of he has to get his farms up, he's gonna gold, and then he has to drop the white tower, and he's gonna try to make no units during that process. And you could raid, but if you don't get an archery range to drop a ram to really force the issue, he can just keep turtling and keep surviving. So you have this window to do that, and dropping the second stable kind of closes that window. He will get the white tower up because of that. You will get a few more Vil kills, but if you can get the white tower up and he stays 2 TC and you stay 1, he will catch back up on Vils. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying the fast ram would be something I would do because I scout no military, and he's being greedy, 2 TCs, and I know he's going to try to get a white tower up, so I have a window to destroy buildings with the ram.
Exactly.
Because I guess my thoughts were like, I have a window to do damage with knights. I mean, the TCs obviously can kill knights over time, but I guess you would say being even more aggressive with the rams is a better strategy in this case.
And it depends on goal. If your goal is to hurt him while you yourself castle, then yeah, just stay knights, because you'll do plenty of damage. But if your goal is, I really want to try to make sure he doesn't get the castle at all, then getting a quick ram out is your best option. Even one ram covered with a few knights and a few archers, if he has no units, he actually can't stop that. Like, he really can't. Or he'll have to sacrifice villagers to do so. But it's all about what you want to try to do. And if you scout units, then it's okay to actually go 2 stables, because you know he's not going to castle because he's making units. And I think you actually do force units because you raid so much, but you don't actually stop the castle, because he has enough 2 TCs. That's enough space to keep most of his villagers hidden and safe. So at this point, you're at 22 vills. He's at 23 because you missed making a vill at one point. Oh no, you made a scout out of the TC. That's why. That's fine. We're now in the project to drop the second stable. And of course, if you're gonna go early archer range and then early blacksmith, you would want to macro more on wood, like 8 on wood, to be able to support that. Would be the difference you'd want to make. If you gotta make archers, you have to add more on wood. So you're scouting around, you see what he has. Losing the 2 scouts really hurts, because being able to keep a scout like here and a scout up here, just make sure that if he tries to sneak villagers out, you catch that. So in the future, you want to try to not lose those.
That's bad micro.
I mean, it happens.
Just not paying attention.
It just happens. But so the rating here. So if he has no units, you need to do aggressive rating. And what I mean by that is keep diving in. And even if all you do is make him send his villagers home, that's worth it. That's idle time. That's time he's not doing anything. And you're basically bobbing and weaving in and out, in and out, in and out. The one thing you really want to be worried about is if he sneaks out to get the food back here, because he's struggling to make farms, which is why having this... It's a huge thing for Rus. Other civs have to use a unit, and I would suggest, if you're watching, if you're someone who's being aggressive, it's always worthwhile to send one military unit onto the opposite side you're attacking. So if you're attacking on this side, have something over here, because maybe he wants to try to wall, which a smart thing would have been for him to do is try to wall this, and then take the food back here, and that's how he gets the castle. And if you could catch him doing that wall, or catch him doing that, that's really important for you. As Roos, you should have that vision free, and then you lost the scouts, and so you don't. So if you lose the scouts, it's fine. Just send like one knight back here just to make sure he doesn't get that stuff for free. Does that make sense?
Would I like patrol it in this case between
Yes.
the deer and the berries?
I'd patrol it, and that's part of what I mean by you want to a goal of being aggressive like this. If you can't kill yet, which is like dropping around and pushing, is you want to tighten the noose as much as possible. You want to create a circle of containment, which is they don't get to leave this without being punished. So something is checking them, because there's so many games I've lost when being aggressive where I'm like, I swear I pushed him off gold. How does he have gold units? And then it reveals the map and they're at like this gold up here. And it's because I didn't keep anything here. So when he snuck villagers out, I don't catch it. So it's really important we're doing small stuff like that. If our goal is to really end them in feudal, we want to make sure nothing can get out from these opposite sides.
That makes sense.
So we're sitting here, we're kind of rotating. I'm big on doing kind of rotations around to look for things, especially because you lost your vision, but you know he's setting up farms here. And basically you do these dives here and you'll get vills. I honestly think you're diving a little too deep. Like, you don't need to be hunting vill kills as hard as you hard. All you need to do is keep diving in and out, and I would stay here. Why do you think I'd suggest you want to just keep attacking here?
Because it's like closer to the TC that can do less damage. If I
Yep.
can have that and it's the gold.
And it's the gold.
But mostly the gold probably.
It's the gold, and this is the primary farm area. And honestly, think about where he wants to put White Tower. Where is the best place to put that defensively? It's here. It covers gold, it covers woodline, it covers the farm sets he wants to set up. So it's gonna be here. And in fact, if your rating makes him drop it here, awesome. That's great. This shit's still open for you. But if all you did was just keep going in and out with a group of knights, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, forcing him to hop in the TC, forcing him to stop making farms, you would do an immense damage, even if you killed no vills. Because it's just the resource pausing that you're doing. And that means you can just run in, run out, go back, check military. Run in, run out, run in, run out, go back and check your stuff. Run in, run out, and just do that repeatedly on cycle. That'd be really huge for you. I love the first upgrade is Iron Undermesh, but imagine if this was an archery range. You already had 4 archers here, and you're already dropping a ram, which could happen at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. He just dropped 2 blacksmiths, and he's just getting his first spearman out, and you already have archers to counter that spearman. So he's already in trouble. Which would then force him to make longbows, which means he has less wood to do farm. So you see how those things kind of like roll into each other. The counters are the counters that you're forcing. All right, that was a lot of me talking. Let's get through the next part of the game. So you keep kind of doing this circling. Once again, I can tell your AOE chops because your macro at home is pretty good. You float wood a lot, and once again, you're floating wood because you have so much bounty, so your eco is really good, and you get extra wood as roost. So even archers already should have been a big thing. You still could have done it. You had the ability to, but you were just so focused on, I'm just going to keep raiding with knights, which you do consistently make knights. You are really good at consistently making units. Then we triple drop the archery range. I would not triple drop them. Why do you think?
I don't have the wood to produce them.
Nope. I am all about adding a lot of production. I really am. I think that's the advice I give the most right now to people is they don't have enough production. But you are getting over aggressive now. It would have been better just to do 2 archery ranges and start rallying to wood as you are now, and then pump out at 2, because you're not going to use these 3 for a while, and that 150 wood could be your starting like 4 archers. Yeah. So I love it. I'd rather you honestly drop more than less, but when we're talking about small things, that's a thing you can adjust. And a big thing for your play actually is that a lot of the times I would say I hope he does this, and then you do it 2 minutes later. So it's like you're often doing the right things, but you're just doing it later than what you could. So what's great about archer defense, your knights are lasting a lot longer, but you're still giving him all of this time. And now he's on this wood line. He's got a tower up. He's got him on gold now. He's got spears out. If we had been just consistently just diving this farm right here, he would have less spears because he would just have less wood. Once again, it all kind of builds into itself. Now we're getting our first archers out. And this is when keeping the scouting is important, because sitting here, which is still out of TC range but visible with your scout, you'll catch him if he decides to drop the white tower, which he's going to do kind of sneakily on you. We're now getting archers out. We need to be very consistent. What hotkeys do you use for your production?
Like Control A for archer range, Control S for barracks, Control D for like select all.
Oh, okay.
and then so it's like everything is Q for the top unit. So like controlled A, shift Q, so like Q5. Or just pressing, or I can press ASD to just like tab through them.
And that feels very natural to you?
I think so.
Okay.
I think you do like the select all military.
I don't. I know a lot of people do F1, which I'm fine if that's what you want to do. Once again, I'm not going to tell you how to do your hotkeys. I said it doesn't feel natural because that's the thing that's most important. I personally put all on 4 and 3, and then if I need more space for unit clumps, then I'll get rid of the 3. But this just allows me to, if I'm up here, I can click 3 and do what you do, tab QQQ, tab like WWW, and that just feels really fluid to me. It doesn't matter what it is for you. The point is fluidity, because what we need to do is at all times, even if you're up here like poking, you're constantly able to click your production, queue up more units, and have them here without moving your screen back, and you can still keep things up here. Because consistently making units is one of the most important things. I still lose games, and I realize I just stopped making units in the middle of a fight when I could have done it. My hotkeys are right there. But it's very, very important to always continuously make units. Whichever hotkey set that you have on, that feels good to you. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. I do like this little split here. The one thing is that he just sees your knights coming down, and really all he has is spears. So this would have been effective if he has spears and archers, because maybe he like runs away, and then, or like his archers come up and you come in your knights. But in reality, you want to force a fight with both your unit sets. If you had archers and knights down here and you pushed in and his spearmen come out to meet your knights, he has to meet your knights to protect his villagers, so then your archers can then shoot his spearmen. And he has 13 spears. You have 11 knights with 7 archers. So you'll take some knight hits, but your archers will win this. So if you really wanted to push that, you should do it together. But honestly, this is what I mean. Like, if you drop 2 rams here and push, he has to have his spears attack the rams. Your knights and archers then kill his spears, and then the rams win the thing, and then the game's over. But your huge delay on ram dropping is what's really getting you right now. Because at this point he has spears, and he can once again just kind of do his English turtle and just live forever. Your rating's effective. You have more villagers than him on 2TC, but the second he gets time on 2TC, he will just gain that all back, and I'll show that later when we get there. Then we're still sitting here, you're winning more units, you finally do siege engineering. And he's now ready to drop the White Tower, which you delayed it a lot. Like, at 13 minutes, he's finally dropping the White Tower. Is honestly really, really good delay. You're getting out on the hunts, which is huge. I love the aggressive grab of the boar on his side, because he's never going to leave his base. That's a huge tip for all of you guys. English players rarely leave their base for resources far along the map, so feel free to really be aggressive on those. He then rushes the White Tower, you have to run in, he gets it up, and now we can't push anymore, and he's safe and sound. Rough moment. What I really do like is that you still use your rams by attacking his production up here. This is right. A big thing on this open maps is if his White Tower is on one side, he should not get to use the other side of his base. So all of this should be cut off and not used. One key here is, once again, we should have something right here. Like one knight that's going back and forth right here, so that he can't run out this way. Just as a reminder. But I do like up here, you start attacking, and now it's time to go castle yourself. Here's burning stuff. You don't need to add the knights, and just let the rams do the work. Just burn stuff. You're going to drop castle. I love your castle positioning. I mean, the high trade house positioning, that's really juicy. You're burning production, you're burning farms. Once again, that's why you don't want to run your knights in, because his White Tower hits. But he's like... No, those are his spears he's garrisoning. I thought he was garrisoning villagers for a second. But this is all really good. Once again, don't split your whole army. If you want to, take 4 knights and run them along the backside and have them hit this wood line. That's fine. And that's a big thing I want to suggest, which is, as much as possible, if you have a moment where you're like, I need more units and I'm waiting, it's okay to take 2 or 3 knights and run the opposite side and see if you can get a little dive in. Because his base is wide open, right? You often are playing under assumption of I have to keep all my unit sets together, but you don't. You can do 2 knights through the back or 3 knights through the back, and it's just as disruptive as using your entire group of army. And the reason I say this is because a better English player would have potentially started making his own knights And if those knights catch your archers without support, they die.
Yeah.
So you don't want that to happen. Instead, you want to keep them together, but then have a few knights that come out and do work on the opposite sides to make sure he just never has a moment of peace. A big thing, if English players are stuck in this, like, I'm being pushed at this moment, they're going to mass siege immediately. You notice the first thing he made was 3 Springles. Because they can kill rams, they can kill anything else he's doing. At this point, you need to do 2 things that would have made this game faster. One, you should have, the second you aged up, ran villagers up and started dropping siege workshops. 2, I think it is okay at this point to switch into men-at-arms. You know he has spears. You know he's probably going to go well, he should have. He never did, but he should have gone crossbows. Moving into mass men-at-arms, you can have more of them for cheaper. They tank spearmen a lot better. And then if they take the front line, then your knights can run in and do damage. But at this point, you either need to drop a siege workshop and start fast pumping battering rams and do a mass battering ram push, or you need to drop like 2 siege workshops, start making spring ults, and then make trebuchets and start working him down. But either way, it needed to happen a lot sooner. It took you a little bit longer to get down here. But see, rating your whole knight set, it's not like you got extra villager kills, you just took extra knight damage. But when he does mass spring ult, you can't really do a ram push anymore. But this does tell you he invested a lot into spring ults. He's going to keep making spearmen though, and so it's always valuable to do the counter to the counter. So if you know he has mass spearmen, he sees your knight mass. If you had just dropped 4 barracks and produced 20 men-at-arms, you're fine. He can't fight those. Right now he's sitting okay because he knows he can make spearmen and siege and be okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So as far as I guess one thing I struggle with is choosing comps. Because in that situation, I have the archers to counter the spearmen, and anticipating he might make spearman crossbow, which archer counters both of those. But I guess what difference does it make having the I guess with the men-at-arms you can kind of force the issue more, whereas with knights you don't really want to charge into spearmen. You have to dance around while your archers kill them.
Exactly.
So that's kind of, I guess, the point. Even if you had crossbow spearmen, I'd still just charge the spearmen or charge the men-at-arms in there.
Yeah, you're much more okay with throwing the men-at-arms away, and that also allows you to do 2-pronged attacks because you already have your knight mass, right? That's not gone away. So instead, the men-at-arms force the issue. The spearmen have to take the fight. Archers kill the spearmen, and then your knights circle around back, or just wait till the spearman mass is lightened and then the knights go in. Or the knights circle around back and hit from the back while they're getting attacked. Because once again, you're sitting here in this really aggressive position, but you never keep things back here. He's going to go on the stone eventually and get enough for a keep. He could have been on this food back here. He could have... He also sneaks over to this gold later, too. And it's just things that, you could have cut this off, and he never got it with your knights. But instead, he just chills here. And once again, a better English player is going to get out a lot of men-at-arms and crossbows. Once again, I don't know why he didn't go men-at-arms. I think part of it was his gold. But he had plenty of gold. He should have gone pure men-at-arms and siege. Which, he does go siege, he just plays it really badly. But he's also on 2 TC. So as long as you wait, he's fine. He wants to wait. He wants to wait this out, see how long he can sit here. Because right now you're on 51 vils, and he's on 51 vils. So he's caught up to you. He's going to start passing you soon. You try to take this fight here. And look, here's the thing. You're on 50. He's on 28. You could have taken this fight. Your knights beat his spearmen and your archers. You would have won this fight easy, and you could have walked in. It's just, once he's garrisoned, White Tower, Town Center, and Outpost, that's most of his villagers. And they're going to do a lot of damage over that time of that fight. You probably still win it, but once you get a big enough mass, you can just kind of force the issue too, if you really want to. You could have dropped 3 rams and then just pushed in super hard. Just a group of men-at-arms really win that. But as always, you just don't want to wait too long. The key against them is not waiting too long. So you finally get the siege workshop down. And what's worth it too is making 3 scouts and just sending 2 scouts directly into his base and seeing what he has. And the second you see a puny ass line of spearmen, you could have just pushed. You got your upgrades. Fuck it. The White Tower's not that scary. You have a massive advantage. But it's also okay to wait for the siege and just be careful. But you definitely need some sort of Springald to match this, or you have to be super aggressive this fight because you can't let him walk up and just poke it. He does. You jump on him, and then once again, he does pretty well. You lost a lot of knights there because he had so many spearmen.
Yeah.
You then come in, push here, and see, in that already you can see how men-at-arms would have been massive here. You lose most of your knights, and this is when I actually, like, you could have thrown the game here. If you're really good at, you did a great job at pulling your archers back, but look at your resources.
A lot of food and gold.
That's a lot of food and gold. That's just you not making units when the fight popped off.
Yeah. So in this situation, I don't have any army, but I could go imp.
Yeah.
Just make more production, or do I go imp? And make bombards.
Honestly, you could have just gone imp. He doesn't have the force to push you. By the time you hit imp, you can then start making units again. The one thing I'm worried about is you're about to run out of hunt, and you have no farms. And so the thing that could have really killed you is if you went imp, started making units, ran out of food, and then he has food, so he just walks out and kills you because you have no food in your transition to farms. That would have been the worry, because you went super aggro, you have no farms. You still have some berries around, but like that would have been really dangerous because the imp wipes out your food.
Yeah. I guess I'm kind of like gun shy about that because I've had a game where I was similar to this one, being very aggressive, felt like I was winning, and I was like, fuck it, I'll go imp, and then I lost a fight and then couldn't replace my army.
I'm also partial to, if I have such an aggressive position, I'm not gonna go imp. I feel like that's giving them time.
Yeah.
Unless you've already slaughtered like 20 vills and the thing holding you back is like, it's just these super defensive bullshit. Okay, then go imp. But like, I don't know. He killed a lot of your units. Like, it's.
Oh, no.
This is very.
The only
better.
thing
Oh, sorry, go ahead and say it.
the only thing I get in imp, I guess, would be I get bombards and Streltsy, which doesn't really completely change the game drastically. Doesn't fix my the problem of unit matchups too terribly.
Yep. Well, overall, I think going Castlegan and then refighting, you said to mass up again. That's really all it. And he didn't have the eco to match yours, so the second you just kept massing, you win. And you should know that. The thing to always keep in mind is if you're on all the hunts and he's purely on farms, even English farms, he cannot match your production. So just throwing waves at him also works too, in that context. All right, so we're at 24 minutes left. You want to try the start of a game, and try to put that learning into action here?
Sure. I guess I did have one question about like the initial phase. So I guess the reason I pulled those vills is I don't know, trying to like watching the YouTube video of it. It's like, yeah, you should be building your Kremlin at 215, or like he puts a time on it, and that's what I'm always kind of shooting for. And it feels like I'm always short. Like that seems like it happens a lot where I pull the vills and I'm waiting on resources. So I guess maybe the timing's just off on the build, but it just made me feel like I was doing something wrong. And I don't know. It's hard to do something wrong in that build because you just put every villager to food, unless you run out of sheep.
What it probably is there's small things you can do. So for example, he pushes his sheep completely under the TC, so his villagers literally don't move at all. If your sheep are just a little bit away from the town center, they'll move a little bit. It's also, look, a 5 to 10 second difference from his build order is not a big deal. You caused like an extra 30 to 40 seconds because you moved them too early. That's a much bigger deal. So yes, the pre-move is nice and it's fancy, and if it works, it's great. But like to me, it's just not worth it, especially at your level. Like those are the sort of min-max things you need to do at like High Conqueror to get advantages, but you don't need to do it yours.
So you would say like when I have 400 food and I have a villager, like I can afford a villager, because I've done that before, where it's like you drop the Kremlin and then you're waiting.
Yeah, I'm never aging up. Like if I hit the age up, but I'm at the build another villager. Don't do that. Just like queue up the next villager, force drop off all your vills, and you should have enough to then do it again.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't. With the 3 scouts, I don't have a lot of like brain bites to know which number villager it is that it usually happens at. I'm not paying attention to it.
It's not that big a deal. It's really not.
Gotcha.
Just wait for the boing to come up and then do it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you don't play Aibid very much?
I have not.
Play against Aibid? All right.
I've played against them as Japanese, and probably not too much as Rus.
What do you know about Aibid?
They're almost always going to go FC. They get the free Desert Raider, which feels like it's countered by Spearmen, but it's really not. I think the best counter to it is Horseman. It is not countered by knights because it has 5 melee armor.
And it does extra damage against cavalry.
Yeah.
So horseman is technically a counter. It's a weird counter, though. I say it's a weird counter because
it's not 1-to-1.
it's not 1-to-1. It's like 1.5-to-1. So if you have 2 horsemen, you'll win. But if you have 1 horseman, you'll do a lot of damage, but it'll die. The true counter against Desert Raiders is mass archers.
Yeah.
But
Because they're
it's one of those things where you need.
You don't get bonus damage against it though. But I guess I know it is, but I've just never really understood why.
It's so the archers don't get bonus damage because it's a ranged unit. Because archers do at bonus damage against light melee, but it's counter because it doesn't have ranged armor. So archers are doing full damage against it.
0 and 5, I think.
Yeah, but once again, it's like if you have 1 archer, the Desert Raider will just run it down with melee and kill it. So it's like you need once you have a mass of archers, the Desert Raiders will fall. So that's why they're so annoying, is that you can't just get 1 unit out to counter them. It's like you need 2 of 3 of any unit that you want to get out to counter. So there's 2 ways to play this matchup as Rus. One is you give the fast castle and you go 2 TC and you just wall up and you play super defensive and you try to rush castle, make spears to stop my early raids, and then you go crossbows and then you work from there. The other option is to go 1 TC and try to stop the fast castle. But I'm warning you, the Ayyubid fast castle is very fast. So you have to be really efficient in getting units there stopping it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I was trying to grab my scout and moved all my villagers.
ماذا؟ سابني. مستعد. أصعد على ضبع الأوامر كما تشاء. مستعد. بكل تأكيد. أنا أتكشف. فارس. فارس. سأنفذ أمرك. أنا مستعد. أصعد على ظهر الحصان. ما الأوامر؟ أمرك.
I'm actually gonna mute my mic here so I don't accidentally give something away here.
فارس كشاف بكل تأكيد. فارس كما تشاء.
ماذا؟ بما تأمر؟ أنقب. أعمل.
ما الأوامر؟ اذبحوا. مستعد. سأنفذ. ما الأوامر؟ فارس. أجل. فارس كشاف. كشاف. مستعد.
بما تأمر؟
مستعد. ما الأوامر؟ كما تشاء. سأذهب. كشاف. فارس. مستعد. كشاف. أمرك. ما الأوامر؟ سأذهب. ما الأوامر؟ كما تشاء. مستعد. أصعد على ظهر الحصان. مستعد. أمرك. فارس. بكل تأكيد. كشاف. أنا ما الأوامر؟ سأنفذ. ما الأوامر؟ كشاف. أنا أتحرك. مستعد. أجل. فارس. كشاف. سأذهب.
مستعدة.
مستعد. أمرك.
إنها أوامر. أسمع.
الأعداء. كما تشاء. فارس. الأعداء.
ماذا؟ الطعام. الحطب. ماذا؟
ما الأوامر؟ أصعب. ما الأوامر؟ أجل. فارس. أمرك. ما الأوامر؟ كما تريد. أمرك. ذا مستعد. سأنفذ. كشاف. فارس. أصعد على ظهر الحصان. مستعد. أمرك. ما الأوامر؟ أنا أتحرك. فارس. كشاف.
ماذا؟
بما تأمر. كشاف. سأنفذ. ماذا؟ نعم حسنا. الأعداء. أم فارس. طلق.
أنصتوا كما تريد. أجمع الفاكهة. أمرك. سأبني.
أمرك. إنها أوامر. مستعد. ما الأوامر؟ خطر. فارس. مستعد. أمرك. كشاف. كما تشاء.
جيد.
أصعد على ظهر الحصان.
بما تأمر؟
ماذا؟ أقطع. ذاهب للصيد. ما الأوامر؟ كشاف. أنا أتحرك. مستعد. مستعد. ما الأوامر؟ فارس. سأذهب. وصل الكشافة.
الرامي راكب الجمل جاء.
ما هي الأوامر؟ أعبر راكبا. الفارس مستعد. الفارس مستعد. سأفعل.
أعطني أمرا.
أوامرك يا سيدي. أجل. مرحبا. الفارس مستعد. ما هي الأوامر؟ تحت الهجوم. سأركب. بالطبع. وصل الكشافة.
السهم في وضع. أنا ذاهب.
نحن تحت التهديد. أوامرك يا سيدي.
القوس جاهز. أسمع.
الفارس مستعد. وصل الكشافة. أوامرك يا سيدي.
استعدوا
ما هي الفارس مستعد؟ بالطبع. أسرعوا. سأنفذ.
جاهز.
ما هي أوامرك يا سيدي؟
الرامي راكب الجمل. أسرعوا.
وصل الكشافة.
السهم.
أجل. مرحبا.
أوامرك يا سيدي. ما هي الأوامر؟ وصل الكشافة. الفارس. نواجه مشكلة هنا. أوامرك يا سيدي. أسرعوا. أتحرك الآن. أفعل ذلك بالفعل. وصل الكشافة. أعبر راكبا. ما هي الأوامر؟ سأركب. الفارس. ما هي الأوامر؟ سأركب. أتحرك الآن. وصل الكشافة.
القرويون مستعدون وحاضرون.
نحن في خطر. العدو.
أيعرف أحدكم وقت الغداء؟ ما حاجتك؟ لدي أتحرك الآن.
أنصتوا كما تشاء.
الفارس. سأنفذ.
أنصتوا يا رجال.
وصل أعبر راكبا.
مصطفون.
الفارس بالطبع.
أجل. مرحبا. القرويون هنا. الأوامر قادمة. اصغوا.
انتبهوا.
القرويون هنا. القرويون مستعدون وحاضرون.
اسقطوا الآن.
نحن الحق. الاستكشاف. ما حاجتهم؟ كما تشاء. القرويون مستعدون وحاضرون. كمان.
لدي مهمة. الصيد جيد.
انتبهوا.
أوامرك يا سيدي. وصل الكشافة.
أنصت حالا. نهجم الآن.
لدي مهمة.
أوامرك.
سأنفذ.
استعدوا.
الفارس. ما هي الأوامر؟ العدو.
أنصتوا كما تشاء.
اصغوا.
الرماة تعرضوا للهجوم.
تحت الهجوم.
سيروا إلى الأمام. إنهم يطلقون علينا.
لدي مهمة. القرويون هنا. سيتم تشييد ذلك.
اثبت. أسمعك.
ما هي الأوامر؟
انتبهوا. استعدوا جميعا، سيتم تشييد ذلك.
حسنا.
وصل الكشاف أسرعوا.
ما حاجته؟ الرامي راك، أعطني أمرك. أنصتوا يا رجال. مفهوم. تحركوا أيها الجنود. أجل، جاهز للعمل. انتبهوا.
أوامرك يا سيد. أتحرك الآن.
ماذا لديك لأفعل؟ حان وقت العمل.
حان وقت العمل. أنا استعداد للعمل. إلى الأمام. استعدوا للعمل أيها القرويون. حان وقت العمل.
اصغوا جميعا. انتبهوا جميعا. ماذا لديك لأفعل؟
وليس صادرا منا. قريبا
بعد العمل.
يظل حتى صمتا. الآن تحركوا يا رجال. أيها اتبعوني أيها الجنود الشجعان. الطاعة من راكب كما أمر.
بناء مشيد حان وقت.
هكذا جاهزون مطيعوا الأوامر. جهزوا أنفسكم يا رجال. حان وفي طريقي إلى هناك.
حسنا.
حان وقت العمل. نتعرض للقصف.
أعطني الأول.
أفعل واجبي.
حان وقت العمل.
الطاعة شرف لي. أيها الجنود جميل. دمروا أعداءنا. أنا العدو. أمرك. أنا ذاهب. في الحال. بالطبع. أمرك. أنا ذاهب. تأتي الوقت. ستأتي الأوقات. قريبا تأتينا أوقات. الطاعة شرف. صمتا. عندك. أعدوا أنفسكم للأوامر. القوم أتقدم إلى الأمام. حان وقت يتحتم علي أنا. حسنا. ما المطلوب؟
انتبهوا جميعا. حان وقت التحرك جميعا.
نحن نتعرض لقصف شديد من الحصار. لدي في الحال.
ماذا لديك لأفعل؟ على استعداد لبعض
أتوق إلى الخدمة. من يريد أن أقتله؟ كما تريد. سارعوا العمل. ماذا لديك لأفعل؟ انتبهوا جميعا. تحركوا جميعا.
حسنا.
المنطقة الآلة تتحرك.
وضعوا سرجا.
جهزوا أنفسكم. أعدوا أنفسكم للأوامر. جهزوا أنفسكم. نحن نسير.
تم رصد العدو.
استعدوا للعمل أيها القرويون.
تعرضوا لنيران.
استعدوا للأوامر. آنت الأوامر.
الطاعة من الفضائل.
اصغوا جميعا.
الآلات تحت الضغط. عثرت على الأعداء.
تفضلوا أسلحتكم. مستعد للإطلاق. أولئك الجبناء يطلقون. القوس جاهز. أعطني أي هدف.
انتظر الأمر. انتبهوا.
لقد
حركوا جميعا.
فزت بالمجد.
آنت الأوامر. سأنهي بناء ذلك عما قليل.
أنتم جهزوا الأسلحة وسيروا. الطاعة شرف لي. أقود إلى الأمام.
أصبوا تحرك.
أولئك الجبناء يطلقون. أيها يسرني أن أخدمك. العدو.
الأداة لا تضيع.
الرماة راكبون شمال. الفرسان تقدموا أيها الرجال النبلاء. أقبلوا. اتبعوني أيها الجنود. الرماة راكبون شمال. من يريد
استعداد لبعض العمل.
القوس جاهز. لنذهب أيها الجمل. ما هي التعليمات؟ الفرسان حافظوا على صفوفكم أيها الفرسان.
القرويون على
نحن نتعرض لقصف شديد. حافظوا على صفوفكم أيها الفرسان.
اصغوا جميعا.
أي هدف سأفعل. الفرصة تقدموا أيها الرجال النبلاء. أتوق إلى الخدمة. جميع الفرسان أعيش لطاعة الأوامر.
تم البناء. المزيد من العمل.
أيها الفرسان لنركب. أيها الفرسان نتعرض للقتل.
Yeah, I'm out of food. It's over.
Yeah.
I may surrender formally.
Yeah,
I'm like, why can't I make units? And I'm like, I don't have any food.
I've had people GG before and they don't mean it. No, but that's what I mean about the fast castle is fast, and not only that, I get 8 villagers from my fast castle. So yeah, I do like, so the things I saw that I really liked, you pre-camped my berries of knights, which was really smart. You knew I had to go out to that food eventually. It's just it would have been really hard for you to maintain that. It did slow me down for a second though. But it's just it's hard to get there in time to stop it.
Yeah.
At your speed. Truly, I think the civs that can really only do it are civs that get units instantly from their landmarks, like English or French. And really, your best bet is to actually not try to push up a knight early, but try to build up a knight archer mass near. So here's how I've seen people do it. They go Golden Gate so they can get resource switch. If they mess up, you get the tickets so you can switch resources. They then mass knights and archers and get a ram as fast as possible, and they attack as the castle hits. Because if you can attack me as I'm aging up and get me off gold, then I can't make units. And then it falls apart pretty quick. But that's actually kind of your best bet.
Yeah, I felt like I had no idea what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be a little bit aggressive, and then I thought, maybe, I guess what the game plan originally was be a little bit aggressive with knights, try to do a little bit of damage, and then follow with an FC, and then just my macro for the fast castle was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You did a good job. I didn't have any sheep, so that kind of threw me off. I'm not used to... That's another thing that I guess helps at my level with Roos, is that no one really stops me from getting bounty. I think that's like the lowest bounty I've had in a game in a long time. I had like 180 like as I'm going up to feudal.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like 300, and I think you got a pretty piss poor number of sheep for having 3 scouts.
Yeah.
I found some more later, but
I was honestly surprised. I 2-scout, and my strategy against Roos often is to try to get my closest deer, and then I rush their side, because I find Roos players are often very greedy and try to rush my side, and so I can steal all the sheep on their side and kill maybe a deer pack or 2, and then if I get lucky, rush back and grab sheep as they're trying to kill one of my deer packs on my side. So I got lucky with the sheep for sure, but yeah.
I had like 11 idle vills in my in the middle of feudal, and I was like, ah, shit. I had 2 nice close deer. I should have transitioned to those quicker. I went out for the boar. When you knocked me off boar, it was like, yeah, I don't have any more food set up. I lost 8 vills.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the game. I mean, it was over before that, but at that point, I thought game plan for if I had food going in. I don't really know what comp beats Desert Raider, Desert Lancer.
Spear crossbow.
I was thinking I was gonna do minute-arm crossbow was what I thought, but I don't know how well that works.
No, because my lancers just rip your men-at-arms. So it's spear crossbow, understanding that the Desert Raiders will do well against the spearmen, but you have to stop the camo lancers, and then your crossbows will do fine against the Desert Raiders. And I wasn't going to keep making Desert Raiders. I was actually going to switch into archers. And it's one of these things where you have to stop the initial camo lancer, and then when they get the archers, then you have to get out men-at-arms to match the archers. It's like what you can afford. You can afford lots of spearmen and crossbows early, and then you switch into men-at-arm crossbow, and then you need to get siege because a good Ivy player would have. I just made a mangonel. Like they're gonna drop mangonels to kill spearmen and crossbows, so you have to then get out springlets as soon as possible. Which is why Roost players tend to go 2TC, because it's just really hard to get there in time. And if you're gonna do it, I think you have to do Golden Gate just to make sure you can balance out resources. And I'm serious, you drop stable, archery range, blacksmith as fast as possible, and your goal isn't to disrupt me, it's to attack as I get there, is your goal.
And then just keep the pressure on a feudal, like
Yeah,
going up to
just
castle as
just keep,
possible.
yeah. If you go castle, you give me too much space, and I win. So then at that point, it is you're all in committing to feudal. You are just pure. You're cutting off all my food because my fast castle is extremely food heavy. I used all my berries and I just used sheep because I knew you'd be surrounding me. And my first goal is to push you back so that I can get on berries. So if you're able to push me off gold, then it's just keep me off the other golds and then don't let me leave for food, and I will run out of food and die.